Square One DSM is an initiative of the Greater Des Moines Partnership. Since 2007, Square One DSM has been connecting entrepreneurial needs with qualified resources, as well as providing guided professional and business direction. Square One DSM helps entrepreneurs maximize their successes by helping them navigate resources, strengthen knowledge, improve skills, form strategic alliances, and secure proper capitalization. To find out more about Square One DSM, visit squareonedsm.com.
So anyway, I'm Mike Caldwell. I work for the Greater Des Moines Partnership. I run Square One DSM, which is all the entrepreneurial activities of the partnership. That includes a lot of direct mentoring, people like this. We have an in-house accelerator, in-premise accelerator over the East Village, right next to the Global Insurance Accelerator, which is well represented by the Managing Director of the Global Insurance Accelerator, Brian Hemus-South. And we have 3 companies in there right now, and are always looking for another. Its focus is really on companies that have some traction and are looking to get to critical mass. I also, along with Tej Dawan, run Plains Angels in the area. It's an angel investor forum, and we meet monthly. We also now meet here. I'm so thrilled about having a place to meet. Sorry. I'll tone it down.
You're good. Very exciting.
Our next meeting, before I forget, February 17th, is going to be kind of interesting. We had somebody scheduled who can no longer make it, but we were able to pull together a pretty wonderful thing. We're going to have a panel of investors. So we've got some venture capitalists, we've got some angel investors, and we're going to talk about investment in 2016, because right now in the news, Mark and I were talking about this. So the latest angel investment report came out, and life is great. Valuations are up. Total amount of money raised is up. Individual amounts up. Everything's up, up, up. And then Fred Wilson, the head of Union Square Ventures, one of the great VC firms out in New York, in his top 10 predictions for 2016 said valuations of startup companies and VC portfolios are going to be slashed. People are going to be laid off. Stock options are going to zero. And in general, it's going to be a bad year. So we're going to talk about, well, what does this all mean? And what does it, more importantly, what does it mean in the Midwest? Thankfully, we're not on the West Coast, where it's a bit of a roller coaster when the equity markets move. So we've got, I think there's 4 different people from the investment community coming. It should be a really good event. If you're at all interested in that kind of thing, I look forward to having you come to that event. You're going to get a survey after this. For those of you who left us your email, we would ask you to fill it out. It's 5 questions. We use it. In fact, the panel came from a suggestion from our survey. So please, if you can, fill it out. I'd really appreciate it. It'll also get you on the email list for our events. We promise not to spam you 2 or 3 notes a day. 2 or 3 notes a day. 2 or 3 notes a month, not 2 or 3 notes a day, is always sent. So with that, welcome, Meg Fisher of LincolnandLexi. I got to know you through, I think, first through Drake. I actually were in a class that Tom had me come in. And why don't you start out and just give us 4 or 5 minutes on what it is, and then we'll get into how it got there. Start with, what do you do?
Okay. So LincolnandLexi is a company I started just about 6 years ago. Next month we'll be celebrating our 6-year anniversary. And it started out as the home party business, so multi-level marketing industry. I had my own brand that I sold through home parties, baby showers. I did farmers markets, all different ways to get our product out there, and it's all product that we make here in Des Moines. So I have a seamstress out of Altoona who's been with me from the very beginning, and then I taught myself how to sew after a lot of trial and error with different vendors for sewing. So the first year we did home parties, and once we moved into the mall, I had a kiosk there. That's when I started bringing in other brands as well. So we're a collaboration of personalized pieces, custom handmade things, which I brought a couple that I can show, but then other high-end sought-after brands too. So if you're looking to announce that you're having another child and you want to do a big brother shirt, you can come in and see us, and you get to pick out the onesie, the fabric that you want, what you want it to say, and then we make it for you, and we try to turn it around within like a day or 2. And then we also have a new custom accessory bar, which I started I think we launched it right about a year ago now, and that is a full custom hair bow bar. And that came about just through so many people coming to us for accessories and gifty things, newborn baby gifts and newborn photo props. And I did not know how many shades of pink there were in navy. And we would have people come in, and I bought 400 headbands at one point, and I said, okay, now we'll have something for everybody. We won't miss a sale because we didn't have the right thing. Nope, they wanted this flower, but they wanted on a thinner band, or they wanted the thick band with 5 flowers and all these different things. So I finally said, okay, we're gonna expand our custom options, and we're gonna open this custom accessory bar. So now we have a full wall of elastics and flowers, and it's just a nice collaboration of bringing in, you can come in and see us for the newborn all the way up to size 6, and we offer blankets, a full line of blankets, and all those can be personalized. So we do them anywhere for like little newborn babies up to, we have a mommy size, which I brought as well. And those are great for.
Is it a daddy size?
And daddy size is 9 feet.
Come on now.
Yes, the mommies we make on average are
get the
about
blanket out.
6 feet by 5 feet, and then I make our daddy size as like 9 feet by 5
nice.
feet.
Yeah,
But they can go all the way up to king size bed covers. So I've tried to find different ways that you don't have to have a baby to come into our store.
Everybody's welcome.
Everybody is welcome. They make wonderful wedding gifts or graduation gifts because we can personalize the names on them. And everything that we do, we really just try to focus on getting the customer their vision. A lot of people have referred to us kind of like as an online or a physical Etsy shop. I don't know how many of you are familiar with Etsy, but this way you can actually see the quality that you're getting, know what you are ordering, and be able to pick it up in a day or two.
So you started with home sales.
Yes.
You went to a kiosk. You've been through 3 different storefronts? 4? 4 different storefronts in 6 years.
Yes.
So you officially made it. I think one of the things that is interesting, you started straight out of college, and I want you to talk a little bit more about that, but there's some people in the room that are actually mentors that helped you during college and so on.
Yes.
But let's start with, when did you first have the dream? When did you start this?
The Lincoln and Lexi dream started when I was 16. I started babysitting when I was 10. We moved here from Omaha, and there were a ton of kids in our neighborhood, and my younger brother was born when I was 4. I've always just felt like a little mom, and he was just my little buddy always. And then so babysitting, I just from a very young age wanted to make money, but I also loved children. And I remember even back when I was 10, I didn't understand what a check really meant. And so my mom started getting calls from all of these ladies that I nannied for, and they're like, has Meg cashed our check? Because it hasn't gone through. So she came and asked me about it, and I opened up my wallet, and I just had check after check after check and all this cash, and I just didn't understand.
Nice.
But that's what you get for being 10 years old and trying to run a little business. But I remember when that summer that I was 10, I babysat for the whole summer, and I made $400, and I put it all into stock because I was really just interested in trying to grow my money.
You were 10?
I was 10.
You were buying stock in the stock market.
Yes. And now it costs far more to sell it. You don't let a 10-year-old decide what they're buying for stock. Because I think I bought AOL, Gap.
You bought what you knew.
I bought the brands that I knew, and yeah, now it's going to cost me far more money to sell it than just leave it there. But it's really fun getting the 32-cent dividend check every quarter.
They love you for that.
Jeff sees them and he's like, "Why do you? It costs more money for them to mail it to you than to
It's
even
the
cash
law.
it." So I would like to say that it kind of all started when I was 10 and just started growing my little nannying business then. But when I was 16, I worked at a women's boutique at Valley West Mall. It was called Girl Stuff. It was only here for about a year, but being quite tall for a girl, it was always really hard to find clothes that fit me and jeans that were long enough. I always had the high waters, and it was very frustrating. And so I came across this boutique, and it was the first time I was introduced to designer denim, and I was just like, oh my gosh, these fit my body. And so I kept shopping there, and then I was like, well, can I work here? Because this is great. And
Can I get a discount?
Yes, can I get a discount? Because I can't afford this at full price whatsoever. And so I started working there, and it was there that I decided I wanted to have a children's boutique, because children shopping and fashion really just kind of became my passion, and I wanted unique pieces. And through nannying, I didn't really realize I was doing it till kind of the after fact, but the moms that I nannied for, a lot of times they would have me come so that they could go do the grocery shopping and the just regular shopping for the week and whatnot. And then they'd come home and show me all the cute things they bought and tell me, I remember just the experiences of like, I went into the store and it was terrible customer service. I couldn't believe it, or it was awesome and this lady helped me. And so we'd always just kind of talk through those things, and I didn't realize that I was processing that.
You were doing marketing research.
Yes.
Yeah, nice.
I didn't even know it. But then that kind of helped me.
So is that when you started on the business plan?
Yes, so 16 is when I started the business plan, and I don't think it was not Google then, it was askjeeves.com.
Nice.
I went to ask.com and asked how to write a business plan, and just they had a template, and so I started filling things out and working on it in high school. And I really actually didn't even want to go to college. I just wanted to start it right away. I wanted to have I never dreamed of having my own line or sewing. I didn't know I could draw more than a stick figure at all. And so I just wanted to have a boutique that we sold cute baby clothes. And my parents are like, "You're going to college." And I agreed.
Good plan.
So I went. Very happy I did.
And you met all these great people.
Yes, and then I met my Drake family. So I worked on it through high school, and then I took it to Drake. And I chose Drake because they had just started the entrepreneurship program, and I really wanted to find a college that had that. And there weren't many at the time because it's kind of a newer major. And so I went to Drake and worked on it there.
So is that your degree? Entrepreneurism?
I have 3. I have management, marketing, and entrepreneurial management.
Nice.
So I kind of just did a full scan of the business.
Fast forward now, you've been through having 2 stores, you're back to having 1 store. You've got some online aspirations, which is what you and I have been talking about. It's just got sites much bigger than a single store, by the way. But what do you think when you look back now is the thing that you really say, I wish I would have known, or I wish I would? Is there 1 or 2 things where you think, wow, that one really hurt? I mean, we all have scar tissue from the things that don't work, but are there a couple that stand out for you?
Finding a good tax guy is extremely important.
Everybody's turning red right now are the people who have been down the road of the bad tax person.
Yeah. I remember my dad always, like when I started this, he's like, they always say to have a good tax, an accountant, and a lawyer. And I started my company with $5,000 out of my parents' basement. So putting money into a big attorney or a big tax guy, like I just didn't have the funds to do that. And so I probably should have done a little more research. So this, fast forward to about a year ago right now, my accountant hands over and shows me that I did not make any money last year. It was something very bizarre, and I was just like, this doesn't seem right. And the year prior, none of what he kept telling me seemed right either, but I was so busy, and I had the 2 stores, it was chaos in itself, and so I didn't look into it as much as I should have. And then this year, I saw that he was showing me these things, and I'm like, well, that's not right. So I started looking through it. He had royally messed up all of my taxes for 2 full years straight. And the first year that I didn't even go back to the 2 prior years. It was so much stress. I was like, it'll put me out of business if I even look at it, because it was just devastating. But what happened with that, so he cost me, I paid way, way, way more money than I should have the 2 years prior. And so it put me in a really, really bad position financially for the store, because I've done everything off of my cash flow and not having a line of credit or anything like that. And it kind of turned into a game to me of how much can I turn this $5,000 into? And so with him telling me I owed all this money, I paid it, then I had to take out my first line of credit, then there was interest and all these fees that I wasn't used to having to pay. But I try to look at it as the positive, that even though that was I hope that's the worst point of business that I'm ever in, because I was able to get through it and we came out of it on top, but it made me become a much smarter buyer and not just buy because I think it's cute and I'm like, well, I love it, so I know I can sell it. But I have started to look more into buying in larger quantities so I can get a better discount. And
did you get a new tax person?
Oh, yes. Yes.
Yeah. You know, it's funny, I hear that over and over, and it's sad because it's probably the most common advice that startups get is go get a good tax person, go get a good accountant, do your legal right. In fact, the guy at Apple that wrote the Macintosh Way, who am I thinking of? Guy Kawasaki. Yeah, the original product manager for the Macintosh. Brilliant guy, angel investor. He started a company about 4 or 5 years ago, and he blogged about it. He tried to see how cheap he could start a company. It's an online news aggregation site. And he posted his results and he'd spent $12,000 and some odd dollars. And almost 6,000 of it was on legal. And the trolls of the network just unloaded on him. And he responded back and said, you guys don't get it. If this ends up being worth something, I got to be able to sell it. And if the legal's not right, I can't sell it. All I got's a brand and a company. There's no assets. And I thought it was such a brilliant statement. It's like, you're putting all your time into Lincoln and Lexi. Well, if you don't have the trademark, if you don't have the books, if you don't... So are you becoming a better financial manager? Have you learned how to run your financials?
Yes, and I took them back over.
Yeah?
So I do all of my books now, and then I take it into the accountant just because I think it's one of my downfalls is I have a really hard time delegating. And because when I do, then I feel like
you share that with most other entrepreneurs that I know, yeah.
And then when he proved me right to not trust that what he was doing was correct, it just kind of, it makes you like pull things back in. I always feel like I push out a little bit and I start delegating, and then when things start not going how I want them to, I start pulling back and I get very protective of it.
There's nothing wrong with delegating. I gotta tell you something, don't ever delegate your numbers.
Yeah.
I worked for a company that got to almost $1 billion a year, and the CEO knew our numbers. And I mean, he knew those things left, right, up, down. And anybody at a supervisor level or above, if you got in discussion with Bob, if you didn't know your numbers, you lost your job. It was just that simple. And this was a guy who he had his own VC fund and had run a lot of companies. It's amazing, but that's the one thing you can't outsource. You've got to know your own numbers.
Mm-hmm. So yes, we do have, I now take them to my new tax guy and we go through them together, but that way then for myself, I at least know what is being entered. And then if I have a question, because I definitely don't know what every category needs to be, then there's the Ask the Accountant category and it goes right in there. So it definitely, that would be probably one of the things that I said I wish I would have known, but now that it's over and I made it through, I'm almost a little bit thankful that it happened because it did really push me to start thinking different ways and expanding in different options.
It is hard because they can tell you don't do that. Don't touch the stove, you're going to burn your hand. I got to touch the stove. I got to feel the heat. It's every time.
Right.
So talk a little bit about the cab. I mean, you and I call it the cab, the custom accessory bar. So I got to set this up a little bit. So I am not into baby shower items. I don't know. But it turns out this is a big market, and it's a market with a lot of margin in it. But I think about all the companies that have set up to go after children's clothes and children's accessories and all this, and how many have failed? Because the fail rate has to be way higher in your business than most. It seems like every other one I see just is gone in a year. But you have found something that is the customers love, and they come back for, and they talk about, and that's what's kind of compelled me about it. And I don't know how much you want to share. You can share as much as you want about where you're headed, but I think it's really interesting. In the world of everybody looks the same and all the merchandise is the same, you've done kind of the mass customization thing. You remind me of Starbucks for coffee. There's like 1.2 million ways to make a Starbucks drink. The hot ones alone, just the hot ones. I mean, seriously, somebody did the math on it. And you've got this cab now, and I think there's a million ways to do a headband, isn't there?
I should do the math because
it's like the colors and the...
Yes, we have over 100, well, we probably have almost like 200 different options for headbands. And it, to me, from like kind of the outside view, it doesn't seem like it's that brilliant of a concept, but I could not believe how big.
Neither did coffee. There's a lot of people who didn't think coffee was a good idea. You could sell coffee.
But the demand for these headbands was just blowing my mind, and it was hard to watch people walk away when you're like, gosh, I wish I could have just, if I would have had that simple little headband for their photos, they would have bought the whole outfit. And so I decided to create this cab, and what's really fun about it is we can have it in our store, but what Mike and I are kind of working on are different ways that we can expand it as well. I would love to put them in kiosks all over because it's just crazy how many, like if you go into the mall and you run into Baby Gap and you get your daughter a little outfit, but you're like, they didn't have a headband or a hair clip to match, then if you popped right out, you could get it made on the spot and go. And I feel like things used to be like everybody wants it now. Well, I feel like it's everybody wants it yesterday. So it's not like being able to give a lot of people come in thinking that they're going to have to come back in a couple days to pick it up. And when we let them know that it takes 2 to 3 minutes per piece to make, they're thrilled. And then so I have not done much marketing with it at all. It's very much word of mouth and putting it on Facebook and whatnot. But I'm looking at taking it into different kiosks, putting it in kiosks all over. And then also working with maybe taking it to market where we actually sell it to other boutiques that can do like a little pop-up shop with it. And we've been working on different ways to build it out in different sizes. But the cost margin on it just allows it to truly go into any market.
This is the interesting thing about it to me is it's one of those times when your competitors become your customers. We all get so focused on our competitors and think, I got to compete. But because you're local to one market, there are all these other stores doing what you do in all parts of the country and world that they wouldn't mind paying her to just deliver the whole thing done because there's still a ton of margin left. Again, I love it. I love the analogy to coffee. I mean, the root costs of a cup of coffee or even an espresso, it's really not that much. It's about the service, it's about the customization, it's about the experience, and they're missing that customization. And I like what she also said is that, what is it, headband, $7?
$6 for the band, and then so they average out to be around $20, which sometimes when I make them, I'm like, gosh, that seems a little bit high.
They
but
don't care.
There's nowhere else that you can go in.
How much for the clothes? What's the outfit cost that goes with it?
Those range from like 25 to 60. Right. I mean, it just kind of varies depending on what you're doing.
So you're turning a walkout into an $80 sale.
Right.
Yeah. Pretty amazing. Let's open it up for questions, and we'll kind of bounce back with a few more, but questions for Meg. The quiet, yes.
So you mentioned you had 2 stores and back to 1?
Yeah, why back to 1 store?
So when I was at Jordan Creek...
Can you repeat the question? If they're talking that way, I can't.
All right, so the question was, thank you, I appreciate that. The question is, you had 2 stores, now you're back to 1. What happened?
So when I was at Jordan Creek Mall, when I first started there, I just signed for a 3-month lease at a kiosk. In that first 3 months, we did what we had done in the entire first year out of my parents' home. And from nannying and babysitting since I was 10 and used to making money all the time, I was like, this is really fun to finally have some good money coming back in. So then I signed another 3-month, and then it turned into a year. Well, then a small storefront opened up down by the children's play area at the mall. Perfect. So I called them right away this day that I saw that it was dark and moved in, I think, like a month later. And with that, I was on a semi-permanent lease. So basically it says in there, the rent is like a fifth of the price if I would do a permanent lease. But if a national tenant comes in, then they can move you and you have to be out, they say like 5 days, but they gave me 30, which is so kind. And
sarcasm dripping off the edge. So
yes. Well, so because with that first store, we finally, like after the first year, like built out the back of it, made it bigger. I had to have everything approved by the mall. And I even remember saying to the management, I said, if anybody ever comes wanting the space, will you please let me know right away, because with this being, I really truly wanted to keep that store forever, just being the first location. I always wanted to have it. Well, I was in Chicago working on opening a store there, and I get this phone call, and this is like a month after we finished the build out, and I spent all that money to do that, and they're like, we're really sorry, but we have to move you. And I was like, are you kidding me? But again, I feel like it was a sign from God that I was not supposed to be opening in Chicago, just timing-wise that it all happened. So then I came back, and they moved me down to like the north side of White House Black Market. It was probably 2.5 times as big as the store that I was originally in. It was fantastic. I had just tried out for Shark Tank. The day I opened there, I get the call back from Shark Tank, and so we moved on to the finals. We didn't end up getting past that, but it was just like this awesome, and I was like, this is great. Well, then 3 weeks later, I get a phone call from them, the mall again, saying that they have to move me again. And at this point, we had been in business, I think about 3 years or so, and I felt like we were really, really close to having like our brand out there. And at the same time, I met with the national leasing rep for the mall, and the amount they wanted per year. I'm like, I could have a new house every year for this. I'm not paying them. I can't afford it. So then I've always wanted the boutique style. I want to be that destination location. And so then it kind of started wrapping back to my original business plan, which was just a high-end children's boutique. So, but now we incorporated the custom. So then I wanted to be in a location that I felt people would actually go to, and I only wanted the place across from the mall next to Scratch Cupcakes. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that location, but that's where we are. But I had to sign a 5-year lease, and at the mall, I was always on 3-month and then a 13-month lease, which I was terrified to sign the 13-month lease. But then I had to sign a 5-year lease, so I was like, I wanted one more solid year of walk-by traffic. And I wanted to test the market for owning or having 2 different locations and what it was going to take to run to and see if I even wanted to expand. So I opened at Valley West Mall. So they were 8 minutes apart.
How many hours did you spend a week between them?
Oh my gosh.
I know some other people have opened 2 locations and they find out they're in their car all the time.
Yeah.
You never get to be at either location because it's like,
And it was a lot of back and forth dropping things off. But I mean, it's really truly been pretty much a 7-day-a-week business or like workout schedule for me from the beginning. I've taken a couple days and here and there off, but with the 2, it was just like constant. In Des Moines, what I didn't process well enough once I decided to open the 2, and I was like, well, this will be a great way to test the market and just basically have this be a marketing store. What I didn't think and process through that, because I literally went from emailing all my vendors saying we might not have a store anymore, and I had all these pre-orders, to then emailing them like 2 days later saying, just kidding, we have 2 now. So it was a very fast decision, and I ordered as if we were in 2 totally different markets, which honestly we still have some of that product that I ordered 2.5 years ago.
Yeah.
And that trying to get that out, because it's maternity, and so it's a higher price point. So that was kind of one of those instances.
So you had the 2, what got you back to 1?
The year was coming up. Employees are very difficult. I guess I'm very picky.
No, you're not.
And finding people, if I had 20, 25 people that I totally trusted that I knew would do a good job, I would have 10 stores by now, because I believe so much in the model and what we're doing, and that we found that niche in the market. But I never envisioned having 2 stores in Des Moines 8 minutes apart. So once the year lease came up, that's when I consolidated everything over. And then I had envisioned expanding outside of Des Moines. But then the employee situation just seems to keep.
And this is consistent when you get into retail, because I know you and I were supposed to be on the radio last month. We were on the radio Monday night promoting this show. And I was trying to get a hold of her the week before saying, can you join me for this? And she's like, I just had a full-time employee just go lights out. Is that what you said? You had some polite way of saying.
Went
completely
off the grid.
Non-responsive. Full-time employee, boom.
Still have yet to hear from her.
Next day, non-responsive, gone.
Yep.
And that is, unfortunately, the people who are available to work in retail today, it's common for that to happen.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're not the only one. Everybody that I know in retail, the number one thing is people. So I have to say, for all of you, it becomes about training and selection of people.
Mm-hmm.
Your job isn't about selling the product anymore. It's about selecting and training people now.
Yes.
Because it's so darn hard. Other questions? Yeah.
With your new model and knowing how you do it, you're asking salespeople to also be the person that does it. So does that also create a whole list of quality control and how do you justify paying somebody that much to do both when there's different qualities in each?
Are you asking as far as?
How do you manage that portion?
So let me see if I can restate the question.
Because the margins are so good that you're able to take a salesperson and also make them do the work.
Right, and it's
So can I repeat the question? Sorry,
yes, sorry.
So I think the question is you're both selling items and you're creating some custom-made items. And I think your question was, how do you find those kinds of people and how do you compensate them?
Yeah.
Okay.
And is it working on quality control and
Does it work for quality and pay?
With the custom access, like with all of the custom onesies and whatnot, I still do all of those. So I am looking for somebody to hire who actually will do our designing and sewing. That's like the next step in my hiring process. But as far as the cab with all the hair pieces, it just kind of comes with the job. Like since it's not something that takes a large it takes 5 minutes. I retrain them on how to make the bows, and if I see one that doesn't look right, I either remake it or they know to come to me and say, hey, can you take a look at this? But what's nice about it is you can sit down with somebody in 10 minutes and know if they're going to be able to make a headband or not, because it's not brain surgery. It's not truly difficult whatsoever. I mean, you have to be careful so you're not putting glue everywhere and making it look trashy. But if it's something that just kind of comes with the job, and I've really found that people that we hire really enjoy it because it's very creative.
Say, to me, it's something creative.
Yes.
You get a chance to
and
not just be the salesperson.
Right, and I still have yet to make 2 of the same, so that's something that we really enjoy too. And now it's a game, so if like one does end up the wrong size or whatever, I'll add something else onto that one and make the other one, so I can still say that we've not made 2 of the same. But
nice.
our ladies really enjoy it because I feel like it'd be much easier for me to hire people if we didn't have the custom side of it.
Sure.
But you do have to have, like, for it to work at our store, you do have to have like a custom eye, and you have to have that creative ability.
And you're there to look.
Yes, and I'm there pretty much all the time. So.
Question.
Yeah.
So what are your growth plans? I mean, are you, I guess, envisioning in the next 5, 10 years that you're going to add more stores yourself, try to franchise, or?
This year, I hope to expand the cab. If I could start everything over, I would make headbands all day long.
Well,
I love my whole store, but the headbands, I feel like the stress is so much lower than anything else. I can be super creative with it. But the cab is something that everybody really enjoys. And I feel like whether we franchise it or if we sell kits to different boutiques, the cab I think is going to be where my main focus at, because the cost of starting it is so much lower, and the profit margins are just there with the cab
it's one of those things where if you brand it, and for the average store owner to go out and do what she did to create the custom accessories bar cab from the beginning would be a tremendous amount of work. But if she shows up with it done, and here, you buy this thing, you open it up, set it on a desktop, and it's everything you need, and the margins are 5x what you're used to. And the waste is less because less things go away. You might keep some of the elastic longer, but it doesn't go out of style.
Right. Yeah, so it is something that it doesn't, that's very true, because there's no like seasonal, like we do get some elastics that have snowflakes on them and then some that have hearts for Valentine's Day, but you can buy one spool of that and
it's still good next year.
And it's still good next year, whereas
pink isn't the new green or something, right?
And we have, like I said, we have 200 different shades of all the colors, and so it's something that's much easier to expand and to replicate. Whereas if I replicated the store, or if we franchised the store, it would honestly probably be taking out the maternity side of it, and that is something that I've been toying with. It's kind of a bummer on that side just because I enjoy having the maternity, but I've found my true passion is in the children's, and it's been that from the beginning. So I've always tested like different little markets, but it always kind of seems to come back to what the core of what I started it as.
Curdy, you had a question.
I was going to ask the same, but I have another one.
All right, what's your other question?
If you were to take the cab concept and enable it online, people would still enjoy the creative process online like they do in the store?
Yeah, that's a good question. So the question was, would people enjoy the cab process online? Do you think it would still work, and what do you think of that?
That is something we've actually played around with too, is making a completely interactive website that you can pick the elastic and then it pops up, and then you can pick the flowers and they pop up, and then you can create it, then it would send it to us and we'd make it. So that is also something I've thought about. And then even instead of having necessarily a kiosk where you have to have staff. I've thought about vending machines and seeing if, I know the upfront costs would be extremely high, but if we had like a vending machine that you could go in and do basically the same thing and then it just puts it together for you, that's also kind of, and it pops out and you're on your way. So kind of like
This
a
is
red box.
this is coming from all of our experience with employees that don't do their job well. Just give me a
love
robot.
working-
Give me a robot, you know?
I love working with people. I absolutely love working with people, but employees are just difficult. And I have when the good ones, they stay and they last a while, but it's just that frustration where I feel like the turnover almost seems to be like every 2 to 3 months. Once you finally get them trained, then they're gone.
You know, in the old days, companies kept blacklists. People know about this, but they would blacklist employees and they'd all share the lists. It's illegal, right? The laws were passed. But you could start to understand why people were doing this. Because these employees that you hear that she's now working somewhere else go, oh my God, I wish you would have called me. You know, because there are certain.
So I'm not allowed to call them? No.
You're trodden on, don't get caught.
No.
You get sued if you get caught.
You think about these things, but you don't act on them.
Other questions? Yes. Yeah, good.
On that, if this is such a huge problem in the retail industry employees, are there any ways, any business models, any ways of incenting employees that you think, just from your own experience, would not only attract them but retain them? Do you think there's a different way?
Yeah, so the question is there a better way to attract and retain talent in the retail environment? I mean, Apple's figured something out, right? I don't know about you, but the two things that impress me in retail are Apple and Starbucks. My 18-year-old son gets tired of me taking him through the Starbucks line all the time because I'm addicted to it. And the other night, we were driving through the line, he was pulled out, he said to my wife and I, he goes, what is it about Starbucks that people are always nice? They're always nice. So I'll let you answer from there. That too.
I have started doing more of like a tiered pay scale, and it keeps proving me right because I was getting really frustrated with paying them what I felt was a very decent amount at the very front, training them and then having them leave. So what I do now is I started out, like if it's an hourly position, I started out $1, even $2 more. And then after the first month, if they make it through the month, then they get bumped up a full $1. And then it goes up and up from there. And that, just because I want people who are truly going to stick around and don't just say they're going to be there and that they believe in it and they want to help it grow. So I'm finding that, and I still start them at a higher wage than most places that you can go to. But if they are actually going to stick around, I am all about raising the pay, but it's just finding those people that truly actually want to stick around. And I did just hire a new manager who I think is going to be wonderful. But it took me a long time to finally take that leap to be like, okay, I'm going to have to pay a higher price, much higher than what I've been doing, get a salary person in here who has experience that can actually truly help grow the business because they have experience behind them. So for us, it was just, I've tried to do everything as economically as possible, and it's hard when you're not even paying yourself.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Until I did start finally last year, but it's like kind of like a dagger when you're like, oh my gosh, I've been working for 5 years for basically nothing, and now I have to guarantee that this person is going to be getting paid.
Yeah, this is the you
salary.
get paid last thing. When you're in your own business, you get paid last.
Mm-hmm.
But it's true. I mean, you have to go from looking at them as a cost to looking at them as an investment that they're going to grow your business and then hold them accountable to grow
Right.
it. But yeah, you get paid last or down the low.
Yeah. Yep.
Other questions? Yeah, in the back.
To really engage workforce and develop your workforce, I like the idea of a tiered rate structure. Bring them back. What's next beyond that? Building
Yeah,
a
so-
compelling culture that people really want to stay and really be involved in this cool vision.
So the question is, beyond tiered structure of pay, what else? Is it culture? What else can you do to keep people, or what are you looking at next?
For the people that we're hiring from like here on out, I'm really looking for people who also want to help expand the business. So whether it be they go and they start another store and they have partial ownership in it, or they help run and go set up all the different kiosks or whatnot for us. So I'm looking for those people that they can actually have some skin in the game, and that so to incentivize them more to stay around. So I want them to start in the store, get the training one-on-one with our customers, with how I want our customer service experience to be, but then I want these people to be able to go out and help truly grow it, and so then it can be like their own little businesses too. So we're looking for people who want to grow with us.
What kept you from going to a commission model?
Why not commission? So why not commission?
Is it your business plan? Is it something ethically that kept you from doing that model?
No, and I've never done straight commission, but at the beginning, and it's very interesting, at the beginning, for probably like the first 2 years, I did just like a bonus at the end of each month. So if you sold X amount, you would get X amount of hours added on to your check at the end of each month. Once I took that away and just upped the pay like $1 or $2, I think it was like per hour, that whole sales went up. So it was very interesting. We did try kind of that commission based, but then people would be arguing over whose sale it was. And with our stores, like we all work together. So it's not so much where you have one customer and you go help them. We all kind of work on ideas and the creative side together. So the commission, what I've wanted to kind of look into commission more with is if we hire an online person that is branding our marketing base on the web, I want to incorporate that somehow. So if we can start seeing that they are doing work and it's bringing money in, to incentivize them with an extra commission for each sale or whatnot.
Yes, back there.
I know you said you're a direct graduate, but as far as recruitment for employees and people, I would encourage you to reach out to people in the apparel department in Iowa State.
Yes, and I actually spoke with them 2 weeks ago. And it's one of those things that I have wanted to reach out to them for 6 years, and each day just keeps going and going. And so I finally sat down. A lot of it is just like the 100 different tasks that only take 20 minutes, but it's forcing yourself to sit down and take those 20 minutes to do it. So I finally did that about 2 weeks ago, and I was actually going to sign up for the career fair. And after talking with this lady, she was like, you know what, it'd be better if you I asked if there were options to come and speak. She said that would actually be a much better option for you. It won't cost you anything. You can educate our kids on what you're doing, and then also let them know that you are hiring. So I'm going to go that route instead of the
And that's a
career
great
fair.
idea for anybody. I don't care what field you're in, is offer to go teach a class, go be a guest speaker, because so imagine this is a classroom, just seeing which people are on their phone checked out and which people are paying attention, and then who comes up afterwards. You get to know something about the people. You get to find out about their motivations, and it looks a lot better to the store and to the brand that you're out trying to help the community than being in. Nothing against trade shows, but
Right.
trade shows are cutthroat. I mean, it's like, come over here. No, come over here. So, and there are several. I mean, not only does ISU have a fashion program, but I believe that, is it Central?
Central Campus.
Central
as
Campus
well.
in Pella has a fashion program. Or no, Central Campus here.
Central Campus here.
Here, as I get my Centrals wrong, Central College, Central Campus. There are other programs as well. High school, I'm sorry, I was doing the
Yes.
Central College thing.
Because I think that's actually where Rebecca went, was the Central Campus.
Is it? Okay, that's right, she did. Yep.
So those are definitely things I need to utilize more. And I feel like with my new manager, I'm going to feel much more comfortable leaving for more than a day and going. And my hope with having the management is that I do start separating myself a little bit from the store so I can work on the expansion side. I'm just and with 6 years of it now, I'm so close with all my customers, and I've always tried to create like a relationship-based atmosphere in the store. So it does take our customers a little while to warm up to anybody new, which then makes it hard for me to leave, because I'm like, I know they're not, like, I want to be there to introduce
You've
them
got to
so they
transition
feel
that.
comfortable
Yeah.
working with them and not just me.
You had a question?
So what does the competitive landscape look like? And obviously, the margins are so great, it's going to attract competition and potential imitators. I mean, how do you kind of...
Yeah, so the question is what the competition, again, I got to be careful on the margins. That's more about the cab than not the rest of the store. But so what is competition?
Competition for the store, I mean, I still consider any children's store competition, whether they're in our actual market or not. So you have Gap and Children's Place and Gymboree and Von Maur. And then Etsy, I would feel, is actually like probably our strongest competitor, just because we still have a lot of people who don't realize that we do the custom side of it until they come in for something random and their daughter's birthday was last week and they're like, oh, I wish I would have known. So Etsy, I would say, is one of our biggest competitors. And then as far as like the expansion, yes, anybody can do what I'm doing, but it takes actually doing it. And there are people that, like, I've even had somebody come in and they worked for a boutique in Grinnell, and she's straight up said to me, well, I'm just gonna let my owner know that she needs to build this. And I was like, oh, well, we're trademarking it right now, so you can't do that.
You know, Rebecca Risbeck, who was here with Mid-LA a couple months ago, said the exact same thing. The people come in, well, I'm going to build a store just like this. And I think, yeah, go ahead, because 99% of the people will not put,
right.
You've been working 7 days a week for
right.
5.5 years.
Yeah.
People don't want to work that hard. Most people don't.
Right.
And it's hard. That's part of being an entrepreneur, is you're going to work way harder than you've ever worked before.
Right. And I think with Des Moines, because I think there is another baby boutique that popped up, and I think that's awesome, because as long as they're not doing and selling the same brands we are, I think it's great, because I don't carry what everybody wants, and I don't have, I mean, I have like my market and what I know sells well, but there's plenty of other brands out there that is great if another boutique's doing it. So I think with Des Moines, even if another one tried to open and was similar and offered custom on the spot, I think we got in there at the very beginning of it and nobody else was doing that. So expanding, I think that will kind of help with it too, that we have our name on it and we have a little bit of experience behind it. The cab, like I said, anybody can go out and do that, but also finding the vendors and finding those, because the relationships do take a long time to build with the vendors.
And that's a place where volume matters. So if you want 20 of something, it's really expensive. You want to buy 5,000, different game. Well, the average retail store is not going to buy 5,000 of each item. Mm-hmm. That you want to have 20 of each. You're not going to put that. You can't put it in inventory, and that's where the opportunity exists. Plus, it's the knowledge of how to pull all this together and have training and be able to say, here's how you train your people, and that can all be branded and copyrighted. So there's actually some legal protection on that side that allows her to. And that's what we've been talking about, to expand a little faster without it always being dependent on another retail store, because retail goes up and down. Mm-hmm. I mean, there are good years and bad years for retail.
Yes.
Question? Yes.
So, Meg, I remember, probably about 8-9 years ago, Tim talking about your dream.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I know like the Clinic Nook guys, and some are just like fairly early in what they're doing, right in the middle of it. If you could look back and you could share like some wisdom to people that are just starting, what would you say?
So advice as far as if you're interested in starting a business.
Taking that dream to where you're at.
My two biggest things are, you have to believe in it 1,000%. Like, if you don't truly believe in it and if you don't truly love it, you will most likely fail because you'll quit. There are nights, I remember one night a couple weeks ago, I was so stressed out, I locked myself in the bathroom and I cried for an hour. Love my Jeffrey for sticking by me, but it takes a toll on everybody, and there are days that are fantastic and you're like, oh my gosh, I don't have enough, like, we need more help, and then the next day there might not be somebody in until 3 o'clock, and you're like, oh my gosh, why did I ever wish away a customer? And so if you don't believe in it and if you don't want to truly pour everything into it, that's awesome if you do succeed, but I wouldn't know how to, because there have been so many times that I'm like, I am so thankful. I still love it. I still love Lincoln and Lexi, and I don't really consider it work per se, because I love what I'm doing. Paying the bills is definitely work, and that side I don't love. But you have to believe in it to be able to stick through with it. And then knowing your target market is absolutely vital, and knowing what price points you need to be set at, and the brands that they're looking for, and what kind of customer service they want. I rarely get to go out and shop, but this past week, we took the weekend off and we went shopping, and I was so disappointed with, I think, almost every store but like 2 that we went in. Like one of them, the lady made eye contact with me and walked straight past and didn't even acknowledge me. And that just blows my mind that customer service has gone down so much. And
It's the cost-cutting mentality versus value proposition.
right. And so for myself, when I'm sitting there thinking, okay, we're selling this little set of bamboo PJs for their 4-year-old child is $40. That's not cheap. That to me is never going to be cheap. But I don't feel like we would sell them if we didn't talk to our customers and let them know the benefits of it and let them have a wonderful experience when they're in and create those relationships. So to me, knowing your target market and truly loving what you're doing are absolutely vital.
You said something interesting I wanted to pick up on. There was something I read the other day that I thought was really interesting. The CEO of IKEA, which is one of the biggest stores for the home in the world, made the comment publicly that he thinks this year, 16, is the peak, all-time peak of home purchases. That from here on it goes down for the average person. They'll buy less. That we've saturated the amount of stuff we're telling people to buy. So many things that it's going to go down. And his answer was unique pieces, higher quality, fewer of them, a little bit of, Rebecca's big on buying. She has 6 of something. They're gone. After the 6, you can't get it. Mm-hmm. But really understanding that you just can't have 50 of something in the cheapest thing because we've hit the point. Right. The other thing I was going to pick up on that you mentioned, I really wanted, was interesting when people talk about what's my target market. You were really good at saying this isn't my market, which I think when somebody says, how do I figure out my target market? You write down everybody that's not your customer that buys in that space, because you have to say no to somebody. You have to say no to somebody that wants to spend $4.95.
Right.
Yeah, I mean,
yes,
it's like that's not who you are.
Pick what you want your perception to be and what you want your brand to be, and if you want to be, like, where you want it to fit on the scale. And so that's, I feel like the service and the product and everything ends up coming around to that with how you want to present it.
So how many people in the room are your advisor? Everybody that's an advisor, raise your hand. Several of you in here, right? On the advisory committee, helping out? Come on. Shy people, 1, 2, 3. Oh, come on. Yeah, there's a bunch of them. They're being like, I don't know why they're being so. But you've had a lot of good advisors around you. And you guys actually meet and you talk.
Well, the advisory meeting today was for the entrepreneurship program at Drake. Okay. So that's what today's was for.
But you lean on them.
But yes, we.
Yeah, she's one of our advisors.
Yes.
Oh, she's advising you. Oh, I'm sorry. I had this opposite. I thought you guys were still.
But
you're still advising her too, though, right?
Mentor me, yes, definitely.
Okay. My bad. I thought it was the episode.
That's totally fine.
All right. Other questions? Yeah.
On the topic of starting up, I've known you for a little while.
Yes.
One of my favorite pieces when you first launched this whole in-home store was the little bow tie onesies. And you could custom, and all you did was pattern on a tie or a bow tie. Mm-hmm. With today's market, it's so easy to get your name out there, your brand out there with social media and places like Etsy. Mm-hmm. When it comes to making like that custom piece, getting in your niche, would you suggest possibly just with the whole social media and the aspect of if I share it and offer it online, someone can easily take it from, and reproduce it? Would you suggest just taking the dive and
the construction's still going on.
I was like, what is that?
Because I feel like your marketing idea with starting out of your home and then going into the store was such a genius step. I mean, do you think we can still do that?
Well, let me see if I can rephrase that, because I want to make sure that, because we're recording this for people who can't see. So, no, you're good. I love the question. It's just if I could rephrase it a little bit so everybody else can hear. By the way, it sounds like the world's largest dental drill right behind us. They're still working downstairs. Yeah, I know. So I think the question really came around, if you've got this great idea for something unique, you just put it out there with the risk that somebody else could take it and run with it, and do you use social media and those types of things? I'd like to hear your answer. I think if I've got that right.
Yeah.
And then
do you suggest just going immediately storefront, get it out there, let people know like this is...
Go storefront first or start smaller?
7 years ago, I would say yes, go storefront first.
Now would you say?
6 years ago and to current, I really enjoyed how it did end up progressing because I did start out small, and it truly was financially based as well. I wanted to grow as the company grew. So with starting out of my parents' basement, keeping my overhead as low as possible, making the product when it sold, not just making a bunch of inventory and hoping it sells. I think anybody wanting to start on a smaller scale, it definitely is very feasible to start like I did out of a basement. And then just growing as the brand grows. Because if I couldn't imagine, and I think maybe it's just because I am financially conscious with all of this, I couldn't imagine going and taking out a huge loan and then, like, signing that 5-year lease was terrifying for me, absolutely terrifying. So I don't know that I am as gutsy to just, now I can see myself opening one because I know that it works, but 6 years ago, it was, I guess, my plan. But who knows if, I don't know, honestly know that we'd be in business if I would have started it just as a storefront, because I just didn't know the market well enough. And I learned from doing the product and putting things online, I post everything we make because it brings in the orders. And yes, anybody can go and take it if they want to, that's fine. I mean, I'm not gonna spend my energy on searching for them because in the end, it doesn't really matter. But it is plausible to start.
Yeah. I mean, look at Apple today. Everybody 2 years ago was building plastic phones, and Apple built a metal phone, or 3 years ago, pure metal and glass phone. Now everybody's building a metal and glass phone. That doesn't kill Apple, right? Apple's a brand, and there's great products and not as great products sometimes, but they build a brand. And I think what you have to protect is your brand, but I think you have to test what's going to work in the market. And people that build software, a lot of times we tell them, don't go build the software. Go see if you can sell it first. Go show the people what you're trying to do and actually put them through the buying cycle, then build the software if they actually buy, because you'd be amazed how many of your assumptions don't work out. To your point, it's easy to get on social media and promote, but everybody gets on social media and promotes. So it's part of that finding your customer. And it's not just finding your niche, it's learning how to talk to your niche and get them to talk to you. When they start responding, when a group of people, if you can get men aged 35 to 55 to talk to you consistently, you have a great market. Just saying that's your market, who knows? Because
in addition to that, social media, like, yes, it's very easy to get your product out there, but that doesn't mean it's actually being seen. Right. So like Facebook is very, very big for us, but what's crazy is I actually have 2 Facebook accounts. We have a fan page, which I originally started 6 years ago. But at that time, when you would respond on the fan page, it would come from your personal account. It wouldn't come from Lincoln and Lexi. So what I did was then create a personal account as Lincoln and Lexi. And then when I would respond, it would make it seem like it was coming from that account. Well, now for the fan pages, we used to get thousands of views for everything that we'd post. Now we might honestly get like 60. Sometimes there's 30, sometimes there's 120.
Now Facebook really changed.
But you have to pay for it. But on my account page, we get orders every day on there. So it's just actually getting your product seen it's very tricky. And then Instagram, like, I don't understand how people get thousands of likes. I'm like, I got 25, yes, is like what I'm at right now, but I can't figure out why my hashtags aren't working. And then my girls make fun of me for the hashtags I post. And I'm like, so it's a huge, for the business side of using social media, there's such a learning curve. And I haven't even, I need to look into it more because there are so many businesses that are run off of Instagramming and sharing and all this stuff, and I have not figured out how they're doing that. We're getting people to like us, and I don't even know where they're coming from, but to actually turn that into a profit is a whole different ballgame. So yes, you can get your product out there very easily, but that doesn't mean it's actually being seen or making a profit for you.
Yeah. With that, I'm going to bring this to an end because the construction guys took their lunch break. And I got to tell you, at about 11:30 this morning, there was just craziness going down there, saws, drills. So I think we'll stop it there. Can you hang around for a few minutes if people want to talk? Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you all. And come join us next month for the discussion on capital. Thanks.